Welcome to the People's Budget. This is episode 3. We've seen what had happened in the 2 previous episodes where the contestants got an opportunity to go out there and learn. First of all, they went to the market, got first-hand information, and then the training midweek with experts that imparted knowledge in them. And now we're about to find out if they were paying attention and if they know what they need to do with that information that they actually gathered from Garden Market. But before we get to the contestants, on a very sad note, Agnes has to leave the show. Using her own words, we're going to allow her to explain why.
Hello everyone, my name is Shingo Agnes. I'd like to use this opportunity to say thank you to the organizers of the People's Budget competition for giving me an opportunity to be part of the competition. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, I will not be able to continue as a participant in this competition. I apologize for any inconvenience caused and I wish the remaining participants nothing but the very best. Zambia is yet to see you their Prime Minister. Thank you very much, the organizers again. I really do appreciate it.
Today is very interesting because our contestant gets to present their budgets in front of a panel of judges. Let's see how well they handle those nerves. But we have a guest among us, our judges. Let's meet our guest judge.
My name is Peter Mumba, and I'm happy to be a guest judge in the People's Budget. I bring along vast experience in public finance management, specifically on issues around public budgeting. I also have particular interest in issues of tobacco taxation and public debt. So in this year's competition, I look forward to seeing innovation from the contestants, especially around how government can implement policies that are aimed at fostering national development through economic recovery and resilience.
Today, we're going to experience whether our contestants have what it takes to actually be the future finance minister. They have been put through their paces, they know their assignments. It's now time for them to face our panel of judges and present their budgets. Let's start with our first contestants. Let's see how well they do in front of a panel of judges that is ready to scrutinize all the information that they put forward right here on the People's Budget.
Okay, so my name is Cornelius Trola, and I'm a 4th and final year economy student from Kwame Nkrumah University. I'm also the president for the Kwame Nkrumah Economics and Business Association, which we abbreviate as NIBA.
Okay. Nice, Mr. President, but here you are not a president.
Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to seeing what you have for us today. So over to you.
Greetings, countrymen and women. My name is Cornelius Trola, the Minister of Finance and National Planning. I stand before this House to present the current state of our nation's economy and our deliberate, timely and strategic response, which are our priorities in the 2026 National Budget. Madam Speaker, the theme of this year's budget is From Recovery to Resilience, Making Growth Work for All. Let me begin with the data that defines our macroeconomic landscape. Our economy faces significant setbacks characterized by 2 primary indicators. First, inflation. Second, debt. This high debt burdens stifles our fiscal space, diverting crucial funds from productive investments towards debt servicing. However, projections indicate a path toward recovery. Our economy is projected to grow by 5.8% in 2025. We have engaged directly with communities, and the submissions from the residents of Garden Chilulu compound provide a powerful and representative account of this national reality.
Greetings, countrymen and women of this great nation. My name is Hawacha Tokozile, the Minister of Finance and National Planning. Distinguished citizens, we are coming from a back record recovery from severe drought, energy challenges, heavy debt burden, and the impact on agriculture and food security that has tested our resilience and slowed economic growth. It is in this context that the theme for this year's national budget is From Recovery to Resilience, Making Growth Work for All. Madam Speaker, my presentation this afternoon is divided into 4 brief parts. I'll begin by briefly stating the 2026 national microeconomic objectives, followed by an overview of the current state of the economy. Next, I'll present my findings from our community engagement, and finally, I will conclude with the proposed budget resolutions to address these concerns. Madam Speaker, the macroeconomic objectives for the fiscal year 2025-2026 are as follows: economic growth, inflation control, fiscal deficit reduction, revenue mobilization, external reserves, and monetary policy. Operate a flexible exchange rate to support price stability and competitiveness. Madam Speaker, on the state of the economy, according to a report from the Zambia Statistics Agency, the overall inflation as of July 2025 stands at 13.0%, a sharp drop from 15%, which shows that we are slowly moving towards our target of achieving a single-digit inflation rate. Moving on to my findings from my community engagement using Garden Market Lusaka as the research area. Madam Speaker, the concerns and contributions of the community range from challenges in the energy sector to gaps in the government programs and other socio-economic issues, calling for urgent government actions to stabilize power supply. Regarding the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, the community highlighted that while it has empowered many youth with skills for income generation, there remains a significant barrier between the resources and the targeted beneficiaries, as many are either unaware of the program or lack access to it, leading to inequality of its impact. Madam Speaker, to address the challenges in alignment with the 8th National Development Plan, the 2026 national budget should prioritize increased investment in renewable and alternative energy sources, including solar and wind, to reduce the load shedding and support sustained industrial growth.
Honorable Toko, that's a very good submission. However, the House, I think, has a few questions for you.
Yes.
So I think the first question is looking at how you have presented the budget, I think it's quite commendable. But I think I would also like to find out what we are working with. What is the total budget for your presentation?
So thank you so much for the question. I did not put the allocations because of the presentation, the outline of how I was thought to put it, but the expected revenue, according to my research, has been about 158.33 billion. So that I have to get percentages of how much I'm going to allocate to the specific areas. Yes, so like there are those priority areas like health, because Zambia has signed a lot of policies that recommend that it should, at least 15% of the budget should go to health. So those allocations will come in my next submission.
Okay, not a problem. So the 158 is on the revenue side.
Yes.
And then your total budget?
Is also according to, yes.
Thank you so much, Honorable Toko. Yeah, we wish you all the best.
So my name is Anna Chanda. I'm a student at the University of Zambia, Ridgeway campus. I'm a public speaker and I also do some baking. Yeah. So that's pretty much about me.
Okay. We're excited that you're a public speaker and hopefully walk away with some scones after this session. Yeah, I think we are ready to hear from you, so I think you can give us what you have.
Greetings, countrymen and women. Madam Speaker, my name is Anna Chanda, the Minister of Finance and National Planning. Madam Speaker, I have the honor to present the nation the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the year 2026 and the state of the economy. Madam Speaker, on the state of the economy, according to a report from the Zambia Statistics Agency, our inflation rate as of July 2025 is currently at 13%, which is still higher than the projected policy target band of 6 to 8%, subjecting our citizens to a higher cost of living, with a GDP of 5.8%. Madam Speaker, with the drought that the country experienced, this has had a severe post-impact to our country's agricultural and energy sector, which are major contributors to our country's economic growth. This impact has further negatively affected the country's production and unfortunately impacted even more hugely our small medium enterprises. Madam Speaker, we are a country recovering from economic hardships, and the 2026 budget is premised on promoting growth for all our citizens, and this budget is one that is centered on working more with less. Madam Speaker, amidst all these challenges, there has been positive responses and resilience from the side of government in order to promote growth for its citizens. Number one, the increment in the Constituency Development Fund, which has proved to be a game changer for our citizens. Number two, Madam Speaker, the provision of financial assistance to our community members through the introduction of Cash for Work program has contributed to the sustainability of our citizens. A recent community engagement that was conducted in Garden Compound by the Ministry of Finance did note of concern from the community members how load shedding has been a huge setback on most of households, small medium enterprises and the manufacturing factor, leading to low production. Madam, Government proposes to allocate 2.7 billion to the energy sector in order to mitigate these effects. Madam Speaker, food security and agriculture. Madam Speaker, building resilience in the agriculture sector is very vital to the growth of our economy.
Wow, thank you so much, Honorable Anna Chanda.
Madam, you have proposed to continue increasing the funds towards CDF, and I would just like to understand how we're going to address some of the challenges we have regarding the fund, how that would impact our communities, particularly for young people. So I think my question is, are we in order to increase those funds?
I get your concern.
Yes.
Okay. So our understanding, or maybe what we should understand, is the benefits that CDF has come with. So in terms of loan recovery, I should be honest with you, because as a ministry, we're trying to engage in terms of the management of CDF. Because the problem might not really be the person who gets it, but the problem might be the person who is in charge of recovering. So as ministry, we are ensuring that we put into consideration proper framework in terms of recovery of loans that are gotten through CDF. But I should stand on it that we won't put an increment to CDF still, because I think as a country we have benefited more as we have lost.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wishing you all the best. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Greetings, countrymen and women. My name is Chimwemwesim Chimba, the Minister of Finance for the Republic of Zambia. I'm a bearer of a message from His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia. Madam Speaker, I rise before this House today with a deep sense of purpose and a clear vision for our nation's future. The past year has been a testament to the resilience of our people, as we have navigated both domestic and global headwinds. Despite the challenges, our economy has shown remarkable strength. Madam Speaker, the latest economic data gives us cause for optimism. Our gross domestic product growth forecast to reach an impressive 5.8% for 2025. However, we remain vigilant. While inflation is showing signs of moderation, having declined to 13% in July, Madam Speaker. Finally, to address the feeling of being left out of the budget-making process, we are instituting a new formal framework that mandates regular community budget consultations. The people's voice is not just a suggestion, it's a foundation for our policy. This budget's themed from recovery to resilience, making growth work for all, is our commitment to a stronger, more inclusive and more prosperous Zambia. It is built by the people, for the people. And these are just some of the key areas on which the budget is focused. I thank you.
Which part of your budget, or what are you using in your budget to then speak to the theme, which is recovery, from recovery to resilience? You know, where you are recovering to resilience. So resilience is where you stand, you know, in the midst of a storm. So what are we then using in your budget that you presented to us to speak to that from recovery to resilience? Yeah, just maybe it could be a sector, it could be a policy, it could be something that you feel, oh, okay, with the funds that I've allocated in this budget.
All right. So one of the key sectors for our country's economy is agriculture. That's why I mentioned an increment in the allocation of money for agriculture. And this is coming from the drought we recently experienced, because it resulted in high prices of midi meal. Yes, and a lot of people suffered because of that. So that's why my budget focuses, one of the focuses is agriculture. So if we invest in agriculture, it means we're going to move from growth to resilience. Yes. So stabilizing the agricultural sector, where we don't have to depend on rain, because the recent droughts shook the country. Yes, we suffered because of rain, and the agricultural sector suffered a lot. That's why we are going to look into solar systems to help in irrigation. Yes.
Good afternoon, countrymen and women. My name is Tabonga Simate, Minister of Finance and National Planning. Madam Speaker, I am a bearer of the message from the Republican President of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, recommending favorable recommendations that I lay on the table. Inflation. Madam, inflation currently stands at 13.0%, which is a decline from 16.69 as of January 2025. Currency performance. After depreciating by 8% in the year 2022, 30% in the year 2023, and 8% in the year 2024, Madam Speaker, Kwacha is now stronger by 19%. GDP. GDP estimate shows that the economy grew by 4.5% in the first quarter of 2025 compared to 2.2% in the first quarter of 2024. Madam Speaker, Zambia has made significant progress with regards to debt restructuring. We have restructured over 92% of our debt. Despite many economic challenges that we have faced, our economy has shown so much resilience. CDF funding, Madam Speaker. Unfortunately, to some people, CDF funding is just a rumor because most of them do not know how to have access to the CDF funds which are meant for them. We will prioritize raising awareness to ensure that every person benefits. We will promote inclusivity as well as strengthen transparency to make sure that the right people benefit from the CDF funds. Thank you so much.
I want to know what funding from the ministry looks like. When you think of funding these minors, what does it look like to the ministry?
For me, it looks like the reason why we are having most of the illegal miners, these people do not have the necessary equipment to actually mine illegally or even have access to the license that they need to practice the mining that they need to do. And I feel for me, making them make cooperatives in form of cooperatives in groups and fund them, I think this would help reduce on illegal mining, especially if we even make licensing very affordable as well as accessible.
Divine. This is a rerun for you, isn't it?
It's a redemption.
It's a redemption.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you back.
I'm happy to be back. Actually, I was worried for a moment, wondering if I'd be in the top 10.
Okay, let's wow us with your budget. Let's see how much redemption.
All right.
Is in there.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker, members of the National Assembly, and fellow citizens, I bid you all a pleasant day. My name is Divine Chorasha, your Minister of Finance, and allow me at this juncture to deliver the budget proposal for the year 2026 that is guided by the aspirations of the 8th National Development Plan and under the theme From Recovery to Resilience, Making Growth Work for All. Madam Speaker, under this theme, we commit to a fiscal strategy that is inclusive, resilient, and people-centered. We recognize that the macroeconomic recovery must translate into microeconomic empowerment, especially for our youth, women, and small-scale entrepreneurs. This budget contains the state of the economy, resource allocation, and domestic resource mobilization. Honorable Speaker, the people of Garden Chilulu have let out their cries about load shedding, poor health services, poor drainage, inflation, unemployment, and CDF being inadequate and inaccessible. Madam Speaker, these challenges not only reflect to the troubles of the people in Garden Chilulu, but the people of Zambia. Madam Speaker, allow me to move to the recent macroeconomic developments that echo our theme. Projected GDP growth for Zambia the year 2025 is at 5.8 to 6.6%. Furthermore, inflation rate is currently at 13%, which is higher than the target band of 6 to 8%. But it must be noted that the current 13% is a reduction from the initial 16% recorded early in 2025. The current USD to Kwacha exchange rate stands at $1 is to 23 Kwacha from the initial $1 is to 27 Kwacha in early 2025. Madam Speaker, surely a sign of recovery. Madam Speaker, our debt to GDP ratio stands at 95%, which is above the IMF's recommended threshold. Total proposed budget for the year 2026 stands at 225.6 billion Kwacha. That having been said, the following will be the key areas of our priority, answering the cries of the people in Garden Chilulu and the people of Zambia. Under the energy sector, our reliance on hydropower has now become our vulnerability. In 2026, we will add solar capacity in every province and commission wind power pilots in western and southern regions. We will subsidize off-grid solar kits for rural health centers so clinics in Garden Chilulu no longer go dark. By diversifying our energy mix, we protect businesses and households from future hydrological shocks. Under agriculture, this year, our farms have defied drought. But droughts are unexpected and unpredictable shocks that we must always prepare for, and floods can be equally destructive. We'll invest in district-level irrigation schemes that guarantee dry season planting and climate-adaptive drainage canals that open for floods and close for droughts. By smoothing out nature's extremes, we shield over 1.2 million smallholders and stabilize domestic food prices. We will build new rural clinics, each wired to a solar mini-grid to ensure consistent power supply even during power outage. We will recruit 1,500 additional nurses and pharmacists and fully stock essential drug kits, ensuring that no Zambian endures a medicine shortage. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, this budget highlights where we are coming from. It highlights where we are and it highlights where we are going. This budget cements our shift from recovery to resilience. I recommend these proposals to the House, to the people of Garden Chululu, and to the people of Zambia. Thank you.
In your budget, what is that one tagline that speaks to the theme? Like, what are you using in your budget to respond to from recovery to resilience?
So I'll talk mostly about the agricultural sector. One of the key working sectors right now has been the mining, agriculture, and ICT. So under the agricultural sector, the drought that we experienced created massive economic downfall, but we recovered from that drought. So now the resilience I want to bring in is whereby I talk about how the drought, we do not suffer drought this year, but droughts are shocks that are unexpected. So we want to prepare irrigation systems in advance in cases of those droughts. So right now we're creating resilience. If we create those irrigation systems, no matter whatever weather comes our way, we're able to continue to grow and everyone manages to grow as a country.
I'm going to begin with the findings of the survey that was conducted in Garden Chilolo Market, as aforementioned. So this, as I have explained, the primary purpose of this survey was to get problems people would like to be addressed in the national budget, because the national budget has such power and potential. So these are the problems that were listed and that were noticed. So the first problem is the prevailing and prominent problem of load shedding. So load shedding has sent its shockwaves in the community that people have felt it. It has had devastating effects. So one of the major effects load shedding has had is disrupting businesses. Businesses are the source of income, and that income is what supports livelihoods, it's what supports families. So because these businesses are disrupted by load shedding, many people who have businesses such as butcheries contain perishable products such as meats and the like, and they require power in order to run. And these and other businesses such as carpentry, metal fabrication, barber shops and salons, whose machinery is heavily dependent on power. So these businesses have been heavily disrupted because of load shedding. And then the second problem is poor access to CDF loans and grants. So now CDF loans and grants, CDF is meant to empower the community through loans and grants. And these loans and grants that are going to be accessed by the community are meant to, number one, push and drive business ventures and entrepreneurship. Number two, skills development. But because people have no access, or maybe restricted access, I should say, to businesses, to the CDF loans and grants, these ventures that could have been and could have developed, that would have contributed to the economy, are heavily affected. And then the third problem I should mention is the problem of infrastructure, poor roads, and also drainage systems. So it was heavily brought out by the individuals in the community that there is very, very poor infrastructure, especially of markets. People are at risk because of the infrastructure that they have as they are in the markets. And then secondly, it's the dilapidated and deplorable state of the roads. So these roads were mentioned that during rainy seasons, they are heavily flooded, which is also contributed by drainage systems. They're heavily flooded, and because they're heavily flooded, these contribute to impassable movement. They contribute to restricted movements, difficulties in movements, I should say. They also contribute to potential diseases such as cholera and other possible diseases. And then the other problem that was brought out is the rise is safety, which is in relation to the rising population of junkies. Junkies are this rising group in the community that abuse substances and also form gangs and groups which will then venture into crime and theft. and these are posing a great threat to the safety of the community, because these are the ones committing murders, these are the ones doing thefts and attacks and robberies. And then the last problem I would like to address that was brought out is that of water. Water is something that was mentioned to be scarce, and because it's scarce because of the poor piping systems and other problems, they resort mostly to wells, and because they resort to wells, that the quality of that water that is mentioned is questionable, and this poses risks to diseases such as cholera and typhoid and other waterborne diseases. And then my next part and the concluding part is to present the state of the economy currently, and also to push projections for 2026 and what is going to drive that change. So the current state of economy, the GDP growth is at 5.8%, the inflation rate is at 4.1%, the policy rate is at 14.5%, the exchange rate is at 23.2 to 26 to 23.6 kwacha per US dollar. The forex reserves are at $44.7 US, and which covers about 4.6 of import cover. And our projections for next year is 6.3% of GDP growth, 10 to 12% of inflation, 13 to 14% of policy rate, 20 to 22% of foreign exchange rate. And the major drivers of this will be increase in copper output, in investing in agri-resilience and scaling power production. Thank you very much.
I feel your case study of, was it Garden?
Yeah.
Yes, Garden Chilolo should have, see, because you focused on that so much, it took away from the rest of your budget presentation, because we haven't gotten to hear what your proposals are. I think my feedback would be that the case study would have helped you probably strengthen, yes, certain points. For example, under state of the economy. I know you've just started presenting the macros, but you would have gotten into the people and households and what the economy looks like for not only the people in Garden, but the people of Zambia. So unfortunately, we haven't gotten to hear the rest, what your budget proposal is exactly.
One Zambia, one nation. Countrymen, women, and the youths. My name is Wiseman Daka, the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning. I am here as a bearer of good news from the Republican President as I present an overview of the debate of the speech for the National Budget 2026. Fellow citizens, Zambia has in the past consecutive years been hospitalized economically due to disasters, pandemics, epidemics, and endemics, respectively, from COVID-19 to cholera, from cholera to drought and floods. It is in this context that the 2026 national budget is developed with a focus on our country's economic journey from recovery to resilience, making growth work for all. Madam Speaker, today our people face real pressing struggles. Farmers continue to battle droughts and floods, and that threatens food security. Families are burdened by the high cost of living, and industries and households suffer from load shedding due to overdependence on hydroelectricity. At the same time, our youth are seeking jobs, skills, and entrepreneurial opportunities. Citizens expect their government to provide stability, opportunity, and we must, I repeat, we must deliver. Fellow Zambians, your government has acted decisively, and IMF reports that under the G20 Common Framework, Zambia became the first low-income country to restructure its external debt, creating fiscal space to fund vital sectors. And the 2026 national budget is anchored in the 8th National Development Plan, period 2022 to 2026, whose theme is socio-economic transformation for improved livelihoods. Affiliates of this chamber, its pillars strategically aligned with the Vision 2030, where Zambia aspires to be a prosperous, middle-income and industrial nation built on inclusivity and sustainability. Madam Speaker, to implement this budget, government will raise resources from domestic revenue mobilization, mineral revenue, value-added tax and excise duties, and also non-tax revenues, while grants and concessional financing from cooperating partners shall be carefully managed to avoid unsustainable debt. Madam Speaker, where the money goes is as follows. We shall allocate funds for the agriculture and food security. We shall focus on diversification through smart and sustainable agricultural practices to mitigate the effects of climate change, and Key initiatives include mechanization, irrigation, and upgrading the Farmer Input Support Program package to provide tractors, boreholes, and drought-resistant crops and indigenous seeds. These measures ensure all year-round production, leading to food security for local consumption and international potential exportation. Madam Speaker, for energy and infrastructure, investment will diversify energy sources beyond hydroelectricity to mitigate load shedding. We will also upgrade roads, bridges, and markets to improve connectivity and economic activity. Madam Speaker, for education and health, on top of the already existing free education and feeding program in schools, we shall improve schools and hospitals while promoting science, technology, engineering, and mathematics under the STEM education curriculum. Madam Speaker, this will equip youths with practical skills, industrial insight, and corporate-ready expertise. In the health sector, Madam Speaker, government will prioritize reducing patient-to-personnel ratio by employing on top of the already employed health workers, as same to the education sector. Madam Speaker, we shall ensure adequate medical supplies to increase coverage from the 40.2% that Zambia stands on towards to hit the World Health Organization's 70% target. Madam Speaker, implementing public health measures to reduce communicable and non-communicable diseases caused by alcohol and tobacco abuse through taxation of tobacco products. Hence, that money shall be pumped into national health campaigns. And Madam Speaker, fellow citizens, this budget is not only about numbers. It is about lives, opportunities, and services. From recovery, we rise to resilience. From resilience, we move toward prosperity. The national budget is a social contract with the citizens, where every kwacha spent should translate to better services, infrastructure, and opportunities for all. God bless Zambia, and God bless everyone here. One Zambia, one nation. I thank you.
And also, I feel like you didn't give us number.
Yeah. It's being an overview.
Yeah.
Numbers are coming.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but we didn't. It's
just
an
give a few
overview. It doesn't
numbers,
mean that
just-
you
yeah.
You still need your numbers in your overview.
You're watching the People's Budget, brought to you by the Center for Trade Policy and Development in partnership with Diakonia and the Tax Justice Network Africa. We've heard from the contestants their potential budgets and presented their ideas after all the learning that they've done during the courses of a week. Now it's time to find out who stays on the show. The judges have made a decision. Let's go back to the judges and find out who's staying on the show and who is going home.
Contestants, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Are you guys okay? Like, I need you guys to loosen up. Like, we're not here to fight. We're not at war, guys. We're not at war.
It's a transaction.
Dialogue.
Yeah, it's a dialogue. The rules have slightly changed. So initially, I think we had to eliminate one of you guys, but to make it more competitive in the next coming series, we're going to take out 4 today. So you need to pray that you are not amongst those 4.
Thank you so much to all of you. I think you did a very good job. Your speeches and presentations where we can see, I think you put in a lot of work into them. I think one thing I would like to really mention is I observed that from some of the presentations, there was no ownership to the proposals that you are putting forth. This is your information. You did all the work and you were here to convince us that this is what could work for national development. So put in all the good work, have confidence in what you're putting across.
I think for me it's just to say thank you so much for coming and for taking part in this this competition. I think building on what Lukwesa just said, I think for me, this is your budget being presented to us, your budget being presented to the nation. So you don't necessarily have to replicate an old budget or something. You have to include some innovation, make it more innovative so that it can then, because the essence of this entire exercise ultimately is to see how citizens, young people are able to become innovative at public finance and budgeting.
Let's get into my favorite part of the show. So, drum roll. I know my judge said 4 of you are going home, but that is indeed inaccurate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Things have changed.
Maybe 5?
Maybe 5. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to start by, I think, congratulating the person we thought was outstanding, in terms of performance, in terms of delivery, in terms of what the content of the budget also was. The Q&A also that we had, I think, was really, really good. And top of the leaderboard is Divine. Congratulations. The first person we can say is saved today in the People's Budget 2025. I beg your pardon. I don't know how I got that far. But for 2025, of course, is Divine. Second person to be saved today is Chola. There's our little Miss Chola over there. Madam Simate, is Madam Simate? You're safe. You're welcome. You're welcome. Chimwemwe. Just by the hair of your chinny chin chin, you have been saved today. However, I will say, as you leave this room, we understand that yes, this might be a first for you, but I think there's a lot that you need to do as you walk out that door. And I hope you have listened to the judges. Otherwise, you'll not be so safe next time. Mr. Daka, the wise man from the East. In as much as I don't agree with your infrastructure, policy there about the informal sector, but I think all the judges, including myself, are in agreement that you are safe today. Jabisha. Quite the interesting debate we've had to have about you. But can we save you? Unfortunately, no. You are going home today. This is the end of the road for you. And the feedback we'll give you goes back really to what I'd said before. That, you need to ask questions. If you're not sure about something, ask. We did have our little investigation also here. These were things that had been explained. How you could have missed it, I don't know. But I would love, if I'm part of the judges next year, I would love to see you back here next year. I think just that lack of understanding as to what you needed to do today is what has cost you this competition. So my brother, that's the end of the road for you today. Thank you. Thokozile. You're safe. And so are the rest of you. The only person going home today is Jabisha. So thank you, contestants. And all the best to the remaining 7 of you. In the next round, we expect you to bring the fire. We expect you to bring the knowledge. We expect you to bring your confidence. We expect you to be your own A game.
This is season 5 of the People's Budget, and we finally have our first elimination. Unfortunately, Jabisha's journey ends here as far as the people's budget is concerned. But life does go on. He had some encouraging words from the judges. Jabisha's joining us here. Jabisha, how do you feel?
I feel terrible. I feel down. But this is not the end. I am down. I can't even express myself that much. But it's not the end. We continue hoping and continue striving. Yeah, I think life still has something better for us in the future.
Right. What's your message to the remaining contestants?
I would say work hard. You have this. The fact that you made it today gives you confidence that you can make it even to the final.
Jabisha, all the best.
All right.
We want to see you here next year.
Sure thing.
All right, there you have it. That's Jabisha. He's the first contestant to be eliminated by the judges. But coming the next weeks, we are going to see who will survive and who will leave and join Jabisha at home, watching with you, watching us right now. And stay tuned. This is the People's Budget. We'll see what the next episode has to bring for us.